Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the village of Aurelia. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is Age of Wonders 3, and this is a roleplay campaign where you, the viewer, makes all the decisions. And that will happen at the end of this episode. The council will convene to discuss the future of Aurelia, but for right now, this wandering group of enemies has reappeared. Now, they were lost completely in the previous turn, but now they are back. Rather than play this game with them, we need to have our hinterlands clear. So, what we are going to do, the army led by Satura and Anya is actually quite weak. So what we're going to do is we're going to assist them with Frigoberto's army, and hopefully all of us together can take out these units so that they no longer threaten our home. Let's see how it goes. Our scouts say that we should have a very likely victory. We'll see if that actually is the case. Now, one thing we have not yet seen of these new enemies is if, like the Wisps, they are able to teleport. It appears as if they are not. Now, they're heading for our weakest group, the Civic Guard. So the first step here is we're going to remove our weakest unit. They are not necessary. The next thing we want to do is we want to test out how effective her Spirit Ray is. But first, Frigoberto is thinking of casting a spell. Let's see if we can't panic one of these units. No, we cannot. They cannot be affected by the panic spell. What does Anya have? Mana-infused flashbang. It could blind units. They do, however, have 60% physical protection, but they do have a weakness to fire. Let's do it. That hurt them quite a bit, actually. So now Satura will attempt to finish them off with her Spirit Ray. She does have a penalty. But I'm okay with that because I do not want to get her closer to these creatures to make her more susceptible to harm. And it didn't matter anyways. She was able to take them out. So that was fantastic. Okay, let's move up our Civic Guard. Let's consolidate them around our heroes. Excellent. And let's also move up Lord Frigoberto's army, which is more elite, better troops. Archers, yes, definitely. Let's put them here. I'm not sure if the foliage will necessarily protect them. It will, actually. So that's interesting. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if they can shoot over it. I hope that they can. And we'll move Frigoberto up with them. Excellent. Oh, that's right. This means these creatures are undying and they might return to us. Let me relearn about that real quick. Okay, so if we don't finish these units off in this particular round of battle, their comrades will rejuvenate. Even with 60% physical protection, there's enough of us to cause them harm. And like always, we'll finish them with Satura. And like always, we will finish them with Satura. Thank you, Satura. I appreciate your contribution to our war effort. Alright, archers. Yeah, dang it. They can't even shoot. What's the point of having an arcing shot if you can't even shoot above some trees? I mean, come on. Regardless, they were effective. Let's see. Frigoberto does not have line of sight. So if Frigoberto were to attempt to physically attack them, they would have protection. They would retaliate. They wouldn't necessarily harm Frigoberto too much. He'd be able to do... Regardless, he'll be able to kill them. And gain some valuable experience for his efforts. No losses. Frigoberto gained experience, as did one of our units of Civic Guard. It's a great battle. Let us return to Aurelia. Well, they can't. They have to stay. Alright. So we're going to do the same thing this episode that we did 2 episodes prior, where you, the viewer, are going to determine how we upgrade Frigoberto. So let's just talk about what options we have here. We could upgrade, of course, his personal statistics, which I think, if we're going to be using him in combat, is actually a really good idea. That includes ranged, melee, resistance, defense, or hit points. Hit points are very cheap, by the way. Just so you know, we have 5 upgrade points. They only cost 1. A lot of these other things cost 4, so they're very expensive. Now, all these abilities here cost all 5 points. So if we decide to go with one of them, it will not allow us then to do anything else. We have the ability of Frigoberto to heal, which is actually a great ability, although now it's a little bit redundant because we do have Satura. Frigoberto can learn how to ride his horse up walls, which is an exciting ability. Not something he could do back in the old country, I'll tell you that right now. We could allow Frigoberto to become a paragon, which means that he'll become a better melee combatant. We'll be able to throw nets to entrap his enemies, and we'll unlock something called Righteous Strength. It will also give him 1 resistance. 1 resistance to, well, it's called resistance, but obviously it's resistance to like magical attacks and stuff like that. We could make Frigoberto Dauntless, which will allow him to slay dragons, giants, and monster slayers. Or, I'm sorry, he will gain the ability to do extra damage against these types of creatures, which we haven't seen any of yet, so it might not be entirely useful. But it also unlocks Robustness and Blood Brothers. We could make him a warrior, which will give him 1 physical resistance, and it will allow his melee attacks to do more damage. It also unlocks Warrior's Honor, Overwhelm, and Martial Arts. I know what Martial Arts is. That allows you to take less damage when you're fleeing from somebody. You know, in that situation, like in our first battle, where when you flee from somebody, they get a free attack at you. Well, Martial Arts reduces the virulence of that attack. Or finally, we could give him Martial, which allows him to cast better spells, gives him some physical resistance, and unlocks what appear to be some defensive abilities. And it allows him to inflict wounds that are bloody. And also, leaders gain +5 health instead of +5 mana. So, okay, so actually, since Frigoberto is the leader, instead of gaining +5 mana, he'll gain +5 health from being a martial. So, ladies and gentlemen of the council, we shall hold off on this, and you will let us know how you would like Frigoberto to develop. You know, I think one thing I haven't done yet, which I should actually, is I should talk a little bit about us, about humans, and what makes us unique in this crazy world. So first off, humans have some interesting bonuses. They like fertile plains, they dislike subterranean, they hate blighted or volcanic terrain, but they have a production bonus. So humans are uniquely productive, and they're also uniquely good at sailing on the ocean. So that definitely agrees with some of the members of our council who feel that we should take to the seas as soon as possible. With most creatures, it appears from Frigoberto's study, that they are afraid of the water and take a penalty whenever they embark upon the water. Our humans, though, being robust and from another world, do not have that problem. Alright, Frigoberto just cast the Inspire Loyalty spell. All units in the army of a hero that has Inspire Loyalty gain Volunteer, which reduces their upkeep. Now, this is great for us. Why is it great for us? Because we need money. Now, we can reinforce the spell, but since we haven't actually met any other nations, I don't see the necessity for that. We've also completed our research of warfare, which gives us more spellcasting points and mana capacity. Again, seafaring is valuable, but we're just not in a position right now to take advantage of it. So while it's definitely on our priority list, it's not our first priority. This will make our troops less expensive, which is important. This will be learned quickly, and it increases the domain of our city. Again, it's a cheap thing to research, but it doesn't have an immediate benefit, since there's nothing exactly 1 tile away that we want. Terraforming would be very, very good for us, because it would allow us to create fertile plains, which our people will love, and will allow them to thrive better in this new world. Again, this is a great combat spell, but because it can only be used on one unit, it's very situational, because the enemies have a lot of mobility, it appears, and so protecting one unit doesn't necessarily improve the army. Last Stand. That's interesting. 2 physical resistance, first strike, and the polearm ability. Now, as some members of the council let me know, the polearm ability allows you to do more damage against mounted units. Obviously, a spear does more damage against a mounted unit, so that's something to look into, perhaps, if we face an enemy that has a lot of mounted units. This will take a long time to research, 5 weeks, but it will allow our cities to generate an additional 10 gold a turn, which is super important. Now, this would allow our scouts, or our pioneers, I should say, for founding a new city, to move faster and be able to traverse difficult terrain, which also is really important. Like, we could use all of these things. And this will allow us to produce a monster hunter unit, which, again, as we haven't really seen too many monsters, isn't a huge priority. I know it takes a long time, but I can't help but think that this is the best way to go. Obviously, let me know in the council what you think, but we're going to, for the time being, we're going to focus on gaining additional money, as many people in the council have expressed a desire for us to have more money. Alright. So we're going to have to do some things right now. Satura is going to travel with Frigoberto. While Anya and the Civic Guard will remain in Aurelia. Anya is no longer confined to the city, but it's just smarter right now to defend the city, especially with wandering bands of monsters that our garrison might not be able to handle. So Anya will keep an eye on the area around the city for the time being, manage things, while Frigoberto moves out to the west, attempts to liberate some of these resources so that we could found an additional city. This mana node has already been liberated. This would be quite helpful. I believe this will help our city if we can liberate that. You are going to camp. Alright, and we have enough money now. Actually, wow, we gained a lot of money somehow. So we are going to go back to Aurelia and remove our merchandising and instead go back to producing a shrine. And it looks like there's another group of bandits. What do we have here? We have scoundrels, draconian, frostling. So now it appears these human bandits are in league with these bandits of other races. It's actually quite interesting how multicultural these bandit groups are. But obviously they must be stopped. City Feller. Frigoberto. Their mistake, of course, was not waiting until Frigoberto and his army was further away from the city before attacking. So the city of Aurelia has been plagued by bandits, and now these bandits have made a severe mistake. They've put themselves between the garrison armies of Anya the City Feller and the expedition of Frigoberto and Satura. This is a mistake that they will likely not survive. And the people of Aurelia will have relative safety, at least for the time being. And as lightly armored bandits, they're really no match for our professional archers. They are wise enough, though, to stay out of the range of our melee troops. We do have a lot of Civic Guard, however. So hopefully this group will be protected from fire from these guys because they have the rock guarding them, but they're able to take a really good pot shot at these guys. Excellent. Again, excellent. This is providing much valuable experience for our troops. You can already tell that even our lower-end irregular civic guards have been so boosted in morale from their victorious battles that they just have no hesitation anymore in defeating these enemies of ours. Anya has a musket. Let's use her musket. Why not? Haha. Alright. The longswordsmen do not have any shields or protection versus arrows. Maybe these rocks will provide them some cover as they advance. Our archers have already shot. Our swordsmasters do have shields. They're pretty tanky. So, Frigoberto's Intimidating Shout costs 10 mana, whereas her Smite costs 12, and she has already moved. What does this do? Attempts to lower their movement. That's not important to us because they're range units. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be intimidating them as best we can. Frostlings, Draconians, or Dwarves. Ah, darn it. It was resisted. Oh well. Such things happen. Let's let Satura at them. We'll move our cavalry up to flank. We're weak here in the south, but I think we should be okay. Yeah, they're too disjointed to pick off a single unit. Although this group is getting a little beat up, and we'll move them back to safety. But they put themselves right in range of our longswordsmen. To their great misfortune. Again, our Civic Guard have found their courage. They're no longer afraid of these creatures. They'll charge right up. They may be scary looking, but that's about all they've got. The city feller is not close enough to finish him off, though. Oh, excellent. All right. So Swordsmasters are going to attack this group from this angle. And I was going to have my cavalry come in and attack them from the rear, but that was unnecessary. Our Swordsmasters were able to defeat them. Now, unfortunately, nobody can reach these guys. Alright, Satura. This is your deal. Make it happen. Nice. Again, look at all this. All of our units gaining experience, gaining confidence. This world is ours for the taking. We've already found that these creatures are not too dangerous. Of course, this is just one army, not two combined. And these guys can teleport. Still, I'm confident. I'm confident in the strength of our arms. Yet another hero offers to join. Who is this now? Ignatius the Charged. A sorcerer. That would be something. Apparently one of our citizens has snorted an awful lot of this mana substance and has now become incredibly charged by it and has developed incredible abilities. I'm sure the priesthood is going to hate this. We can't, unfortunately, afford him. Alright, well, the council can not only determine what progression path Frigiberto should take, but also Anya the City Feller. As you can see here, we have the same options in terms of personal abilities, but she also has the Lightning Rod banner, which gives her entire army lightning protection. That might be very useful. She can also climb walls. She can also become a Paragon. She does have Engineering, which will allow a vision boost, which would be great for exploring and for scouting out hostile units that are trying to engage us. Ironclad Baron, which provides her with additional physical protection, and her musket attack does more damage. We can do Technologist, which will improve her spellcasting points and give her some magical resistance. It also unlocks the net throwing ability, as well as Sabotage of enemy war machines, and Forge Aprons, which I'm not sure yet what that is. We can give her Invention, which will improve her spellcasting abilities. And finally, we can give her the Repair Fortification ability, which will utilize mana to restore damaged walls or gates. That seems very situational and not entirely useful. So, the council has a lot of decisions to make here. The first decision is how to develop Frigiberto. The second decision is how to develop Anya. And the third decision is if we should accept, next turn when we have the money, the services of our sorcerer hero, or if we should send him packing as a heretic. So it really depends, I guess, on where the members of the council stand on the priesthood, and if they support the priesthood or want a counterbalance to the priesthood in our empire. So that's very important. So those are the three issues that I will put to the council, and next episode, Frigiberto will attempt to dislodge these evil spirits from these scrolls of knowledge, which will provide our people much needed information on how to continue to thrive in this strange land. Once again, I'm Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.